Even before the start of World War II, the War Department was seeking a standardized light cross-country reconnaissance vehicle. In the late 1930s, the U.S. Army tasked American automobile manufacturers to come up with suggestions to replace its existing light motor vehicles, most of which were motorcycles with sidecars and a few Ford Model Ts. The U.S. Army's requirements were formalized on July 11, 1940, when 135 U.S. automotive manufacturers were approached to submit a design conforming to their specifications for a general-purpose personnel or cargo carrier, especially adaptable for reconnaissance or command, and designated as 1/4 ton 4x4 truck. Bids from individual companies were to be received by July 22nd, a scant 11 days after solicitation. Companies were then given only 49 days to submit their first prototype and 75 days for the completion of 70 required test vehicles. The Army's Ordnance Technical Committee specifications were equally unrealistic. The vehicle would be four-wheel drive, have a crew of 3, employ a wheelbase of no more than 75 inches and a track of no more than 47 inches, utilize a fold-down windshield, carry a 660-pound payload, and be powered by an engine capable of 85 foot-pounds of torque. The most daunting demand, however, was an empty weight of no more than 1,300 pounds, or 590 kilograms. Only 3 companies entered: American Bantam Car Company, Ford Motor Company, and Willys Overland Motors. Bantam received the bid, being the only company committing to deliver a pilot model in 49 days and production examples in 75. Under the leadership of designer Carl Probst, Bantam built their first prototype, dubbed the Blitz Buggy, and delivered it to the Army Test Vehicle Center at Camp Holabird, Maryland, on September 23, 1940. This presented the Army officials the first of what would eventually evolve into the World War II U.S. Army Jeep. Since Bantam did not have the production capacity or fiscal stability to deliver on the scale needed by the War Department, losing bidders Ford and Willys were encouraged to complete their own pilot models for testing. Ford and Willys technical representatives were given ample opportunity to study the Bantam vehicle. Moreover, the War Department forwarded the Bantam blueprints to Ford and Willys, claiming that the U.S. government owned the design. By November of 1940, Ford and Willys each submitted prototypes. Their vehicles turned out to be very similar to each other and were joined in testing by Bantam's entry. All 3 cars were declared acceptable, and orders for 1,500 units per company were given for field testing. However, in July 1941, the War Department decided to standardize and selected a single manufacturer to supply them with 16,000 vehicles. Willys won the contract, mostly due to its more powerful engine, which soldiers raved about, and their vehicle's lower cost and silhouette. The best design features of the Bantam and Ford entries were then incorporated into the Willys car, resulting in the origin of the Willys MB, or Military Model B. By October of 1941, it became apparent that Willys Overland could not keep up with production demand, and Ford was contracted to produce them as well. The Ford car was then designated GPW, or General Purpose Willys. During the war, Willys produced 363,000 Jeeps, and Ford some 280,000. Approximately 51,000 of these were exported to Russia under the Lend-Lease program. A further 13,000 amphibious Jeeps were built by Ford under the name GPA, or General Purpose Amphibian, nicknamed the Seep, or Sea Jeep. Inspired by the larger GM DUKW amphibious truck, the vehicle was produced too quickly and proved to be too heavy, too unwieldy, and of insufficient freeboard. In spite of participating successfully in the Sicily landings in September of 1943, most GPAs were routed to Russia under the Lend-Lease program. The origin of the term Jeep is lost to history, and several stories are equally plausible. One origin story states that when the prototypes were being tested at military bases, the term Jeep was used by soldiers for any untried or untested piece of equipment or person. Another story holds that the word Jeep is a contraction of Ford's acronym for the vehicle, GPW.